The University of Havana had been a hotbed of political activity since the 1930s, when students led a revolt against dictator Gerardo Machado.
1930s is a violent period in Cuban political history. Social and political struggles continue through a good part of that decade, and the idea was that if you were to be politically effective, at some point you needed to be ready to wield a gun. When Fidel arrived at the university, you needed guns as well. Now, not for noble revolutionary goals, but just to protect yourself and your friends. And there are gangs.
Fidel's generation had a terrible sense of frustration. Cuba was supposed to be one of the three wealthiest countries in the hemisphere with the United States and Argentina, and yet they couldn't put themselves together politically. It was one tragedy after the other. The War of 1898, the Americans' intervention, the Platt Amendment, which gave the United States virtually power over anything in Cuba. They saw leader after leader either be corrupt, killed, replaced by the United States, fail, fail, fail.
While he was a student at the University of Havana, Fidel came under the influence of nationalist Cuban professors, began to study Cuban history very seriously. He concluded that Cuba had not been in control of its own history, and he blamed the United States.
Fidel jumped into the fray. He helped organize strikes and demonstrations, ran for student president, joined a gang. He was a combination of genius and juvenile delinquent, one fellow student recalled. He would show signs of brilliance and then behave like a hoodlum. He was implicated in the fatal shooting of a rival student leader, but charges were never filed. He was identified by a witness in connection with the murder of a university police sergeant, but the witness recanted his testimony. Mirta Diaz-Balart was 19 years old when she fell in love with Fidel Castro. She was a philosophy student at the University of Havana and a member of a prominent Cuban family.
I introduced them and told her, you know, he's crazy. He's paranoid and a psychopath who would just as soon throw you off the 10th floor as buy you a mink coat. And she said, I know, but I am in love. And I replied, well then, marry him. She was the one who was in love, not I.
They were married on October 12, 1948, and went on an extended honeymoon to New York. For the first time, I tried T-bone steak, smoked salmon, and other things that a young man with a big appetite enjoyed a lot, Fidel later recalled. With his father's money, he bought a white Lincoln Continental, took an apartment in the Bronx, and tried to teach himself English by learning 200 words a day. Back from their honeymoon, Fidel and Mirta settled in Havana, where he set up a small law practice. Mirta gave birth to a son, Fidel Castro Diaz-Balart, Fidelito. But Castro was seldom home, and there was never enough money.
Castro came in one morning, and he didn't realize until later that day that all his furniture in the living room, including Fidelito's playpen, all is gone. Because they've been repossessed, he didn't pay the bills. This is a man who doesn't have a sense of feeling, empathy for the things that ordinary human beings need to live their lives more or less normally.
Politics was Fidel's all-consuming passion. As Cubans looked forward to free elections in 1952, the fourth to be held since a new constitution went into effect in 1940, the young lawyer seized the moment. He campaigned for a congressional seat as a member of the Ortodoxo party, calling for responsible government and an end to corruption. As election day approached, Fidel Castro had a real chance for victory. Then, on March 10th, General Fulgencio Batista led a military coup d'etat, shattering Cuban democracy and Fidel's political aspirations.
El general Batista, ante los micrófonos de todas las emisoras del país. Silencio. Silencio.
Hablo al pueblo de Cuba desde la ciudad militar esta vez, en donde he tenido que regresar forzado por la...
Batista da un golpe y lo que hace con esto es